A stunning admission from the U.S. Air Force. The ashes of cremated body parts belonging to U.S. soldiers were routinely dumped in landfills until 2008. Family members never told.
Pentagon correspondent Barbara Starr here with us in New York this morning. Barbara, a difficult story for families and for the military, I'm sure. How long did this go on?
Well, what they are telling us now, the Air Force is telling us that it was from about 2003 when the wars really ramped up until June of 2008. It's difficult to explain all of this in a way that isn't going to upset people, but let's just lay it out there on the table. We are talking about remains after someone is killed in action. We are not talking about bodies. We're talking about bone fragments, tissue, what is left after these terrible explosions in the war zone. So they bring it home, they identify it, they tell the families it has to be disposed of. And then what the Air Force did at Dover Air Force Base Mortuary is cremate it, incinerate it, and then dispose of it in a landfill. They say, according to medical waste regulations, they basically treated this DNA material as medical waste. In June 2008, Dover says, this is not right. This is not how this nation should be treating its fallen. And they stop it. And what they have been doing since then is putting it in sea salt urns, taking it on Navy ships, and having it buried at sea. But the families didn't know. Right. But this is, you know, this is... You can make the case that it is material treated as medical waste. This is what happens.
Yeah, but wait a minute. During 9/11, they carefully went through every bit of dust and dirt, finding little pieces of remains because the family really cared about them.
Well,
how can you ever excuse this behavior?
Well, you know, this is going to be something that the military is going to have to deal with because, of course, this isn't the first time they've had, you know, these issues. Earlier, Ali and I were talking earlier this week, huge scandal already at Dover because they had lost some body parts. Right. I mean, this is all we can refer to them as, but body parts. I mean, who can believe any of this, that this goes on? So the issue is this is not how this country treats its fallen off the battlefield, and this is not appropriate. The Air Force can make the case that it's fixed the problem in 2008, but the bottom line is the families were never told, the country was never told. This is something that the Air Force has only very recently this week acknowledged.
And the Defense Secretary, what does he say, Liam Panetta?
Well, this is the question now. At 3 o'clock today, back in Washington, and we will be there, Defense Secretary Leon Panetta is having a press conference. He will meet with the Pentagon press corps. He may want to talk about the budget. He may want to talk about spending cuts. I think the press corps is going to want to talk about something else. This is not the first time there have been scandals about mismanagement at Dover,
National Cemetery.
at Arlington, Walter Reed treating the wounded. I think the question Panetta is going to have to address, is this really the end of it, or is there more? Right. How does he not know whether there is more out there or not? How convinced is he that this is being handled?
Barbara Starr. Thank you, Barbara. Nice to see you in New York.